Hi guys, it's Jigs again. I'm back here with Unbox and I'm doing another deck tech for Bravo. I think it's obvious by now that he's my favorite hero and I love doing aggressive builds with Bravo. So here, I've come out with probably the most aggressive build and the greediest build that I can think of. So this is for Bravo in Blitz. And in my previous deck tech, I talked about Bravo using Enlightened Strike and Snapdragon Scalers in Blitz. This time, I'm leaning more towards the big attacks. I'm leaning more towards making my attacks so huge that it's basically impossible to block them. So how do I do that? I start off with these four auras. So I have 2 copies of Crashdown. I have 2 copies of Earthlore Empowerment. So what do these 2 auras do? Crashdown gives your next Guardian attack on your next turn +6, and Earthlore Empowerment gives your next Guardian attack on your next turn +5, and it costs 1 less. So it basically lets you create a Seismic Surge and get +5 with just 3 cost. So these 4 are very key to the deck. So it's super important that you start off with them in your hand. And since it's Blitz, you have a pretty high chance of doing that. But just so that I'm safe, I added Imposing Visage. I have 2 copies of Imposing Visage that will help tutor up these cards. So after tutoring up these cards, I have here the targets, which are the usual reds that Bravo runs. Except this time I'm running 2 copies of Pulverize, and the only reason why I'm running 2 copies of Pulverize is I'm deathly afraid of this deck running into an extremely strong fatigue deck, like maybe like Justin's Yoji that you saw in our channel previously, or Axe Dorinthia, or Flick Flap Ira, because your 1 attack per turn, even though it's very tall, like you can go up to I think 22 was my max. You can go that high, but there are some fatigue decks that are still capable of stopping you from hurting too much. And then this deck really relies on the setup. So your turns are always 1 turn setup, 1 turn hit, 1 turn setup, 1 turn hit. So fatigue decks can take advantage of that by putting the appropriate defense reactions in the arsenal, setting up their hand, and just overall getting ready for you to hit them. The 2 copies of Pulverize makes it harder for them to deal with that, because if you're throwing out Pulverize for 20 and then a Pulverize for 14 right after, something's gonna leak or they're gonna lose more cards than you are, and you will naturally fatigue them just by presenting big numbers every turn. So the 2 Pulverize, then the 2 Crippling Crush, pretty standard, 2 Spinal, and in our 4 for 8 slot, we have Chokeslam. And the reason why we're choosing Chokeslam is, it's notable that this deck is after Chain, Kasai, and Kano have all left us for Blitz. They've all graduated. They're all living legends now. And now we're pretty sure that Chokeslam is a very good crush card, because if Chokeslam crushes, it turns off Dash, it turns off Rhinar, and it turns off Briar, all of which can out-aggro you in this matchup. So hitting them with a Chokeslam that has +6, or a Chokeslam that's dominated and has +6 or +5, can really like put a stopper to the turn, because Teclopander will do nothing, Channel Mount Heroic will do nothing, Blood Rush Bellow will do nothing. So pretty relevant. And same with Starstruck, it just kind of stops them in their tracks. So that's what this entire deck does. It takes 1 turn to set up, which is why I prefer going first. So if you go first with this deck and you draw the aura, you're kind of just, you're chilling. You play the aura, you make a surge, you arsenal a red, or even if it's a blue, the deck still runs the standard blue Chokeslams, blue Debilitates, blue Macho Grande, blue Buckling Blows. We'll have the full deck list below so that you can check out the blues. But yeah, the blues all still hurt. So with a +6 or a +5, it still hits you for 11 or for 12. And at that point, you're really just looking at the damage. So speaking of damage, another way for us to add damage is with Rouse the Ancients. Now, I've been talking to Justin about this deck because he's considering running it, because my record with this deck right now is I've played, I think, 4 Armories and 1 Skirmish, and I've only lost twice. I lost once in the top 8 of the Skirmish, and I lost once in my last Armory against Carlo. He was playing Briar. So I like Rouse the Ancients, but Justin was saying that he was thinking of cutting it because I guess it's a bit greedy, but then if you've been following our channel, you know I'm a pretty greedy player, and I was able to hit someone with Rouse the Ancients into Pulverize, and then like you could just dominate the attack, but then I wanted to style on them. So if you want to style on your opponents and like keep the super greedy Rouse the Ancients hand into something big that has +6, because notably, Rouse the Ancients is a generic action. So it does not consume the buff of Crash Down or Earthlore Empowerment. So you can go Rouse the Ancients into like Chokeslam, Rouse the Ancients into Spinal Crush. So it basically presents two big threats, which will make the fatigue player think twice about if they're gonna de-react this one, de-react that one, and it makes it so that you'll probably eat their whole hand if that's the case, if that's what you can present. And then these two other auras, Showtimes. Showtimes are just generally good in Bravo. They let you tutor up Pulverize. Here I almost always get Pulverize, but there are some matchups where it's more relevant to get other stuff. But again, in this meta with no Chain, no Kano, no Kasai, Pulverize's decks will put a lot of decks down because it's technically 18 points of value because it's 14 plus the 4 that you're stopping from them. Yeah, it's usually I make a Surge, I play Showtime, I get Pulverize, and you heave the Pulverize. Then the 2 cards, you can either block, you have 4 cards in hand, you'll only need 2 blues to play Pulverize. So the other 2 cards you can block with, or you can save the Arsenal or make a Surge with on your Pulverize turn. So this is our sideboard and the equipment. So I'll go over the equipment first. These 6 will be your main equipment for almost every matchup. Because Crown of Providence, Tectonic Plating, Crater Fist, Civic Steps, and Steel Braid Buckler all block 2 and then block 1. Well, Crown doesn't block 1 after, but Crown will very much be helpful if you're trying to unwhiff your hand, because this deck does whiff a lot because you're only running a couple blues. I think 24 is my exact number. So I'm running 24 blues. And then I have a bunch of reds, so it's very possible that you draw like the auras and then you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? So Crown will save you in that respect. It'll let you put a card away, hope to draw blue, and if it doesn't, well, that's just how it goes. This deck is kind of high rolly. It's kind of a quote unquote brute version of Bravo, but yeah, I like it. It's been pretty consistent so far, and yeah, so this is your fridge. You bring the fridge, and then you almost never want to block with cards from your hand. So in every matchup, you use your life total as a resource, because even when you go down to 1, if you're able to throw out like Crippling Crush for 17 or Starstruck for 16, you will definitely steal the tempo. And you'll be able to hold that tempo even if you're drawing just blues, because they can get so low that you can kill them with just like a dominated blue Chokeslam or like blue Macho Grande, and all of your cards start becoming threats. So that was my logic for this build. And here, these 2 cards, I run Null Rune Boots for the Emperor matchup. It's still pretty untested for me because, well, the first day that Kasai and Kano are gone is tomorrow. So tomorrow at our skirmish, I'm expecting a bunch of Emperor, so I'm only bringing AB1. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I'm looking to out-aggro them and force them to just, fall over and die. They do have a fridge of 2, 4, 6 with the Crown, Flame Scale, and Braveheart Bracers. But I think if I can buff the cards enough, I'll be able to push it over the edge and just kill them because they are at 15 life. Other than that, I have Command and Conquer and Pommel. So I was talking to Justin about this, and he said to me that we can, since this Bravo build prefers to go first, but if it goes second, it's a bit slower, it's a bit riskier to play, especially if you don't have the right auras. So we thought that maybe if you're going second, you can take out the auras and then just play CNC and Pommel. Like you play the quote-unquote usual Bravo build, you kind of like pivot to try and take the tempo that way. I'm not sure if that's the right way to play this, but it is something to consider, because there will be a lot of times where you'll be going second and you'll have the aura, and then you'll try to like block efficiently, and then when you go to draw your cards, you don't have enough to cast the aura, or you drew a bunch of reds, and then you're kind of just like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? So the CNC and pommel here could be an option. We will be testing. If you guys test it and see that, yeah, this is an efficient way to play, having like I guess a transformative sideboard. This is as transformative as Bravo gets. So this is your transformative sideboard that lets you go into a more tempo game plan, and then you can bring in Anathos if you're playing against like fatigue decks. And yeah, so this is your bread and butter. The fridge is your bread and butter for saving yourself from taking too much damage. You effectively start at 20 plus HP, and then from there you can kind of just kill them with your dominated attacks and everything. And there was consideration for running Hope Merchant's Hood instead of Crown of Providence, so that you can definitely get rid of your whiff hands. But the reason why I'm keeping Crown of Providence is because there was no more space in the sideboard because I wanted to put CNC Pommel. So yeah, I'm very excited to bring this deck into Skirmish. There's one more Skirmish that I'm playing at, but we have a couple more here in the Philippines, and we hope to get this video up so that you guys can try this deck, improve on this deck, because I really want to see Bravo shine. I really want to see all the different Bravo builds. And yeah, so there's also a bounty on my head tomorrow at the Skirmish for people to kill me with CNC and Pommel specifically. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what kind of builds people will bring. I hope there's a lot of Bravo because, again, I love the hero, and I hope this video convinces you guys to try out this super high rolly, super aggressive Bravo build, because it's great. Like it's a lot of fun to present 22 damage and then just like watch your opponent go like, what did he just say? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.